Hey everybody, this is Elijah, and today I'm going to share with you a quick project I did over the weekend, just organizing my fishing gear. As you can see here, I had quite a mess, but now things are organized and I can find my fishing gear, which is very important if you want to be able to get ready for that trip quickly. I'm also going to show you a little bit of my gear, just what to expect in different bins, like steelhead bins, salmon bins, what's the difference between that tackle. Very basic, but stay tuned. Hopefully it motivates you to get your gear organized too. Okay guys, so this is my starting point, and as you know, when you fish for years and go on trips, things just get mixed together, they get stacked on top of each other, it just gets out of control, and this is what I want to clean up. Now I did have some organization, obviously I have some bins labeled by species, so there was some organization, but over time it just got too chaotic. Also, I have my spinner table, which is not completely cleaned up yet, but this is where I make my spinners. That is a handy thing to have. That's my next project, is to clean up this table, just make it presentable. But what I did is I went to Walmart, bought a bunch of bins, organization bins, clear ones so you can see your items, and my goal is to get this mess cleaned up.
Hey everybody, this is Elijah with Righteous River Fishing in Oregon. And the other day I showed you a video about how unorganized my garage was. Mostly not my garage, but mostly my fishing gear. I just had too much fishing gear all over the place. Bins were mixed together and it was just driving me crazy. So I spent most of the entire weekend organizing, sorting, and just cleaning up my space in here. And I'm feeling really good about it. I think it looks really sharp, really clean. And I know now that when I need to find something, I can come out and go right to it. Also, I'm just briefly gonna open a few bins and show you what is the difference. For those people who wanna know, what's the difference between your salmon and steelhead gear? What's your difference between your trout or lake trolling and your steelhead gear? Because there is a difference. Different tackles used for different purposes. And so I'll just dive in and compare a few bins and let you know what you can expect in a steelhead bin or what you can expect in a lake trolling bin. And so anyways, I'm gonna go through that as well. We'll keep it real quick and simple today, but tell me what you think about this new organization. Okay, so here it is. I know if you compare this with what I had the other day, you'd say, yeah, it looks a little better, it's a little cleaner. I've got tons more room here. So I'm just gonna highlight and show you a few of these things here. And you'll probably see that there's a couple rod holders that hold lots of rods, you know, anywhere from, I don't know, 15 to 24 rods on there. And then this Yakima bin that I'm not really using. I need to find a purpose for that. But really what I wanted to show you today is the bins and how things got much more organized. So for example, in this shelf here, you'll see we have lots of different sizes of bins, and I just organized them based on what types of things I was putting away. So you'll see here, fishing line. In there, I've got like 30 types of fishing line. And I had no idea that I had that many, but putting them all together, now anytime I need to tie a leader, I can just go to that and pull out the type of fishing line I need. You can see we got salmon and kokanee spinners and spoons and plugs. We got rockfish and jetty, bottom fish and even big fish. And then here, like hooks. I just put all my hooks in one container. Same with all my swivels and terminal tackle. And then same, I actually found a bunch of new lures, which is kind of nice. And then lead. So many different types of lead are in that bin. But now, you can see it's just super easy to get to. Also rod ties. You know, I like to tie my own rod ties. Got a bunch of this elastic paracord and ties. And those really make organization of your rods and transportation much easier. And then if you go down here, salmon trolling, extra steelhead. I've got my mustad bags. These are actually bags I use all the time. So those are geared up, ready to go. And I even took the time to put my trailer locks and things like that in the bin, just so I can feel a little bit more organized and confident. And then you can see here we got waders, right? I had like 3 pairs of waders sitting out here, and it's just unnecessary. I'm gonna use 1 pair this winter. So I put all my extra waders, my wife's waders, my son's waders, all in that bin. And the only pair of waders I have out ready to go are my Sims ones. They're in a wader bag, and they're ready. When I'm ready to go fishing, I just grab them and go. We've also got reel maintenance. I do maintenance on all my own reels, so have kits in there, lubes, all the things you need to fix your reels. And then different categories. Lake trolling and trout, so those are smaller lures. Maybe some small dodgers. Surf perch. Now steelhead, really, that is one of my favorite types of fishing. I've got a lot of steelhead gear. I have that steelhead gear, but then I also have extra steelhead kits. So those are mostly addicted steelhead kits. Well, those are extra. My bass bin is super small. I don't do much bass fishing, okay? I might troll a few lures in the lake for bass, but that's about it. Fishing reels, I've got extra fishing reels and boat rod holders and accessories. And then you can see down here, I've got boots and waders. I got my sons in my boots, wader boots. And one thing that's nice I got at a garage sale is that boot heater. You know, when you're steelhead fishing in the winter and you're gonna go a couple days in a row, it's really nice to be able to dry out your boots fairly quickly. Even a clam gun there. And there's a few more, but let's get down to these rods and these rod holders. So now I really like these rod holders. Now I have two different ones. One's from Cast King. Not a huge fan of Cast King. Their stuff's pretty cheap, pretty crappy, truthfully, but sometimes you can get something that's okay. And I'd say this rod holder's pretty good. It's pretty strong. It's actually more strong than the other one I have from Save Your Equipment. Now I don't know if any of you have heard of Save Your Equipment. They make gun bags, okay? Like AR-15 bags, rifle bags, things like that. And so I really like them just because they're kind of a cool company. But this holds a lot of rods. It's even when it's tight, it has a little bit of play. I don't love that, but what I am gonna do is if this Cast King rod holder is still available on Amazon now that I have an affiliate link, I will add that in the chat. But check it out. A lot of my fishing I do is surf fishing. Most of these are surf rods. And what's my favorite surf rod? You can't beat the Team Daiwa. I've been talking about that. That is my new favorite rod. It's only 9 foot. I want a 12 foot as well. I'm trying to get a 12 foot. Have a pin, 50-pound braid on there. But that thing is smooth, it's light, and I love it. And then I also have this surf reel, which is Shimano. And that thing is really, really nice. It's a long cast. I only have 20-pound braid on there. That thing casts a mile. And then most of the time I'm just using pins. And then lastly, over here, what do we got? You know, we've got different types of things. We got bobber rod. We got a trolling plug rod. We have a basic trolling rod. That one's for plunking. I just specifically have that tied up for plunking. And then we have some trout and steelhead rods here. I'm a big fan of Fluger. The Fluger President reel is probably one of my favorite at that price range. And ultralight. And that's about it. But that's just a quick demo. I will dive into a few bags. I want to show you a few differences in gear. But that's it. Looks much better. Okay, so what can you expect to find in your steelhead bin? What is steelhead gear, right? Well, it depends on the type of fishing you're doing. A lot of steelhead fishermen do bobber and jig, or bobber and a jig with a worm on it, right? So they're floating those worms in those presentations. So when you're talking about having jigs, that's steelhead gear, right? This is just some extra ones I have. So that's what you're gonna find in steelhead. And I did mention bobber and jig, or the jigs and the worms, same thing. Jigs and worms. Those are things you use. Now you can use these for trout. And sometimes scaling those down a little bit for trout is what you want to do because trout are a little bit smaller, right? But also drift fishing is very popular for steelhead, and it's one of the methods I'm going to pick up and use more this year. So yarns, you have all your UV yarns, every color, pink, chartreuse, orange, black. Those paired with a corky is really where it's at for doing some drift fishing. So here, yarn, corkies, and your leads. Those three together is going to be your drift fishing setup. And like a leader container. This is extremely helpful. I actually found out about this leader container from Addicted Fishing, and I copied them. It's called the leader feeder. You put all your leaders inside of here. Okay, they're all pre-tied, and that's stuff you can use for drift fishing or bobber fishing when you're doing steelhead fishing. But that is an extremely helpful tool, and I do really like this. If Amazon happens to sell it, I'll put a link on there for you with my affiliate link. But I even have some roe tying bags, so if I want to put some spawn sacks together, this is roe wrapped up in a little mesh netting. That's another way. Smaller hooks that I'm going to use, and a tarp I use, because steelhead fishing, winter steelhead fishing, is also very muddy. Okay, so that's steelhead. So what's the difference? Because if you think about it, a steelhead is a trout. It's a trout, a sea run trout that's wet and matured in the ocean. Same fish, okay? But trout are smaller than steelhead, obviously. So the same spinners you would use for a steelhead, like the real small ones I'm gonna troll and use for trout, like a number 2, blue fox number 2. Whereas steelhead, I'm gonna be up like 3, 4. Normally 4 is my go-to size. So the same stuff you use for steelhead you can use for trout. It's just the smaller gear, right? Smaller spinners. I'm not gonna get too in depth there. Also, we have these micro fishing kit. You're gonna love this kit. I forgot what these are called, but this is just some micro fishing and real small stuff that is gonna entice the trout. Rooster tails, all these things are smaller. That's really the only difference between trout. Like, I got this trolling spoon, this little Meps mini Cyclops. It's just small. I'm not gonna fish for steelhead and salmon with that tiny lure and that tiny hook. That's not gonna happen. And of course, lake trolling things as well. All right, so the last comparison I'm gonna make here is regarding trolling, okay? Trolling for kokanee and trout versus trolling for salmon. So for kokanee and trout, this is a large dodger. That's not small. It's medium to large, okay? Kokanee makes a lot smaller dodgers as well. This is a kokanee dodger, okay? That's really small. This would be really effective for trout and kokanee. There's light resistance on that line. You're using lighter lines because you don't need, it's not big fish, right? So real small things. And then even a larger one would be these. This is actually like a micro 360 cop car color. And this is really big for trout. However, if you compare it against a salmon flasher, look at the difference. Big difference, okay? So salmon flashers are gonna be much larger. And then your trout kokanee flashers are gonna be much smaller. Same with your leader length, your bumper, they're gonna be much heavier. When you run these short bus stiffy bumpers that go behind these 360 flashers, they can be anywhere from 80 to 200 pound. I think the stiffies use 200 pound monofilament line. That's super strong. You don't need that for smaller fish. So that's an example of salmon trolling stuff. And this is an example of trout or kokanee trolling stuff. That's the difference. That's why we have them organized. I don't want to keep all these together because I'm going to go salmon fishing and go, okay, every time I'm going to open it and see this and be like, why am I looking at that? Instead, I'm looking at only salmon flashers. All right? So that's the theory behind my organization. So we just got done talking about spinners, right? Spinners for steelhead. Maybe your size 3 or 4. Spinners for trout, which are smaller. 1, 2, 0s, who knows? Real small stuff. So what about salmon, right? This here is for salmon, coho, chinook, and we have some spinners in here. Same product, but look at the size. This is a coho spinner made from Dean in Florence. This thing is huge. I don't even know what size this is. It's got to be at least 6. It has a huge treble hook on it, but that is the difference. Okay, here, let's do a quick little comparison of your trout spinner compared to a king chinook or coho spinner. Look at the difference. Okay, way different. That is the difference between using gear. So we got these giant coho spinners. Those are actually some of my favorite. Spoons, look at these spoons. giant spoons. I don't even know what size this is. 3/4 ounce. That's a monster. And you know, there's spoons in here that are just super tiny. Don't even compare. Look at the difference between size. 1/3 ounce, I think. But look at the difference. Big difference. Salmon, trout, steelhead. Also for coho, I love plugs. Okay, anywhere that a coho goes, if the water's, let's say, at least 12 feet deep, I love these plugs. I think these are size 3.3 or 3.5. They dive down like 10 feet deep. But plugs, very, very effective for coho salmon. Hey, I appreciate you all tuning in and just checking out this organization effort that I've been working on here, and hopefully, you know, you learn something a little bit about the different types of tackle that I use for different types of fish. Also want to say just a shout out to all of you who followed me or shared my profile. Almost reached, I'm at like 199 subscribers, which is not that many, I know that, but I'm still think it's really cool, and so just to see the growth and of this channel is awesome. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Keep watching. Let me know if there's any certain type of content that you want. But really my goal is to learn how to make better content, catch bigger fish, and make more exciting things to share with you all, especially as we all venture through life together and enjoy fishing as one of our leisure activities. And so, as always, I just want to say that the way to have an awesome and content life is to grow a beard, love Jesus. Thank you all so much. We'll see you soon. God bless.